Blog Talk Radio.
From Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead.
This is the Sandman, and you're listening to Sunday Night Dead, a show I can really wrap my arms around.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Night Dead. This is Matthew Slozer from Autumn Paranormal in beautiful Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Glad you joined us this evening to close out the weekend. We have a good show. It's going to be open mic night, so anyone with any topic or anything they would like to discuss, feel free to call us in. There's a lot going on, a lot of different things going on out there. So it can either be a topic you want to discuss, a question for us, a story you would like to share, or just if you never had the chance to call in and say hi, good time to call in and say hi. So it's going to be a very interesting show whenever we do the kind of roundtables. It's always an interesting format. So I'm going to, first of all, introduce my tech assistant here, Vincent. Vincent was away Christmas shopping last week, so we missed him. We missed you, Vincent. How's the whole holiday thing going for you and your household?
Yeah, Matt, I'm getting really into the spirit of the season. Got my place all decorated. Been baking some cookies. Here I actually brought you some, Matt. Here you go. And then, got most of my shopping done, although, I don't know if you heard about this. There's, some game out called Skylanders, and I guess there's little figurines that go onto a platform for a video game, and all my friends and family are telling me, Vincent, there's a Skylander that looks just like you. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. So, I haven't found it yet, but that's my mission between now and Christmas, is to find a Skylander that looks just like me.
All I gotta say is that's gonna be one scary-looking Skylander. So my kids are into that. I'm gonna have to check that out as well. Also here with us tonight are my guest hosts, Luana Kurz. Hey, Luana.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. And John Cockhill.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good.
So, Luana, y'all, how was your weekend? Y'all ready for getting ready for the holidays and end of the year and everything?
Oh, yeah. I'm not at all ready yet, but I did spend today doing a whole bunch of shopping, so I'm getting closer. And I'll be off on vacation this whole week, which will be nice.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. How about you, John?
You know what I realized this week in the last couple of weeks, that I must be a weirdo, because I get more excited for Halloween than I do Christmas. Like, I'm trying to get into the Christmas spirit, but it ain't happening this year. I don't know, just, So, like Halloween, it could be a month before Halloween, I'm all bouncing off the wall and excited. But I'll get there.
I really like them both, and I get kind of psyched for them both, but I got to say, it's always, time's going too fast, and, the older you get, the worse that gets. But I always feel like I'm out of sync. Like, it always feels like it gets here too early. And then by the time I'm kind of in the spirit of it, it's gone. And so kind of one of my pet peeves around here is, and it's just I guess it's just kind of like a cultural difference. Up in Pennsylvania, you had like the 12 days of Christmas. And so basically, until pretty much January 6th, kind of everything went on. Here, at least in this part of North Carolina, and it's not everybody, but I'd say it's about 50%, Christmas ends like 6 o'clock Christmas night. I mean, people are putting their trees out that same night. I mean, like, what a bummer to be like tearing your tree down like on Christmas Day. But half the lights go down on the 26th. And something I always think is really weird is the radio stations here, they'll start playing the music on Veterans Day already. The Christmas music starts, but by like 10 o'clock Christmas night it's off. So it's just interesting. I always kind of considered it a season, but that it kind of ran until early January. But anyway, to each his own. Just something I've noticed here. But so we have our guest, Lance Phillip, who was kind of interesting. Ironically, we had this date at one point, not triple booked, but triple requested. And as it turns out, as fate would have it, we end up having open mic night tonight. There's a lot of bugs going around. I know at my work and at my kids' school, there are just tons of people out. Basically, if you didn't get the flu shot around here, you were pretty much down and out with the flu. Lance has been sick this weekend, so he messaged me he could not make it tonight. So totally understand that. I hope you get well soon, Lance, and we'd love to have you back on sometime in the future. But because of that, we are going to have a kind of open roundtable format here. I certainly have enough things to talk about. I am sure John and Luana have enough things to talk about, but it's always more fun with audience participation. So if anyone would like to call us, 646-929-2384, or if you're a little shy to be on the air with us, which there's no need to be shy. We're all nice people here. We don't bite. You can send in a message on the chat room, and we will relay this out as well. But until that happens, kind of my first topic is end of the world's supposed to end on Friday. So, John, what are you doing Thursday?
I'm going to treat Thursday just like I would any other day. I don't think it's going to end I'm not into that the Mayan calendar thing. I don't know. I know a lot of people are gearing up for it, and they're going out and buying these survival kits. I try not to think about it. I don't know. There's too much other real things happening around me to worry about.
I want to hear if anyone actually would, actually like quit their job or something. If you're really buying, put your money where your mouth is, and quit your job, spend all your money, and live it up on Thursday.
Did that happen the last time that we thought the world was going to end? A whole bunch of people quit their job and spent all their funds?
I had a great idea, and I was actually joking around on Facebook that I was actually doing it, and so I had people, I was kind of doing like the Orson Welles War of the Worlds thing. People that weren't in town didn't know whether I was really doing it or not. I claimed the last time the world was going to end that we had a network of people across the country that were going to, as a flash mob, dress up as zombies, and I think the world was supposed to end at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. And so at 6 o'clock, we were all going to come kind of shambling out of local cemeteries in our towns. And so maybe we have to try that again Friday night as well. Also, I'll just add that if I understood this right, the Mayans didn't account for leap year, so actually I guess supposedly that calendar ran out like 2 years ago. So it's really just lots of hype. But so more importantly, John, what are you doing Saturday?
Saturday? I don't know. I hadn't planned anything.
Since the world's not going to end. Oh, you know.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm hoping to do a ghost hunt, but either a ghost hunt or Christmas shopping, one or the other. It's interesting to see. I mean, these things always get hyped, and it's funny about how it's like every 2 or 3 years there's some prediction that the world's going to end. So if it does happen, I guess we'll be doing this show from the other side next week.
Yeah, I kind of I guess wasted time lining up all these extra shows because this technically could be the last Sunday Night Dead, depending on what happens here. Folks in the chat room, what are your thoughts? Anyone out there actually buy into any of this? Just kind of curious. You won't be ridiculed if you do. I'm just curious if there is a Mayan calendar world's definitely ending on Saturday proponent out there. If we got any takers, we got some no's coming through, but other than that.
Now, why is it supposed to end? The planets are all lining up in a row or something like that, and the gravitational force is that how I understand it? Because all the planets are in a row.
I thought it was, but maybe I thought it was they merely had this whole calendar that they kind of chiseled out, and the calendar runs out on Friday.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. So they interpreted that, somebody may have just, their calendar chiseling guy may have, died and they didn't have a good replacement, or they may have just ran out of room to put the extra dates on. I mean, there could be all kinds of...
Yeah, I thought they said a year ago or something, they found extra, like, a platelet that had drawings on it that they didn't calculate for or something. I don't know, that's what I heard. Maybe that's just to make me feel better. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I could tell you that if, a really ironic sense of humor thing would be is if it would end up happening on the 22nd. That would be something. But then we still wouldn't have a show. Oh, Melissa's pointing, magnetic north is supposed to change and we're supposed to get into a wobble. Okay. I don't know exactly what happens when the Earth wobbles or what exactly that means, but interesting stuff. So again, anyone that's, I've seen we've had some new people add, this is kind of open topic night, so feel free to give us a call, 646-929-2384, or send in a message in the chat room if you would like a certain thing to talk about. Otherwise, we're going to just talk about what we feel like talking about. Pamela Croker is going to get her favorite meal before the world ends. What is that, Pamela? Please let us know. Melissa says the wobble will cause a no-gravity situation, so I guess we all fly off into outer space. That That will be an interesting thing. Anyway, too, I don't know if you guys, shrimp quesadilla is Pamela's last meal. So, John, what would you have? If you had to have a last meal, what would it be?
Oh, gee. I like shrimp. She's right there at the shrimp part.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love shrimp.
Cool. Luan, have you ever given this some thought?
Just right now when you asked that question. But I think our family was, growing up, my mom and my dad always made these Mexican hamburgers, and it just is drowning in, like, Mexican spicy sauce, and I love it. So I guess that would be my last meal, and I'd probably have to have some ice cream afterwards.
Cool. Has anyone seen this? I was watching the, I haven't seen it in a long time now, but I was always a fan of the, I like a lot of those food shows, and I always like the one where the guy has the different challenges where he's got to stuff himself with all kinds of ungodly stuff. And they did a special on this, I guess it was in Tucson. They call them, like, Mexican hot dogs, where they take the hot dog and wrap it in bacon and then fill it with all kinds of different stuff. That looks very intriguing. So maybe I would go real cheap here and have a bacon-wrapped hot dog for my my last meal. Bang Bang Shrimp, yes. Bang Bang Shrimp is definitely worth. My wife and I just went to Bonefish specifically to try that one night, and that's definitely a good thing to eat.
Todd McIsaac, I see hot dogs. That's an every night meal for you, I think. And breakfast. Don't forget breakfast.
Todd, you got to try it with the they wrap them with bacon, and then I think they put, like, jalapenos and stuff on it. But it's the whole concept of the bacon wrapped hot dog that is intriguing. So something to possibly give it a try. And it was someplace in Tucson where they're doing the special on that one. But also, I don't know if you guys saw or heard, a bunch of there was all kinds of drama out there this week, and I usually don't like to fill in or even go there. I try to steer clear of the drama stuff because it really does annoy me. But different people. Again, it's this whole concept of people trying to police other groups and what other groups do and what other people do on this. And curious to get your thoughts on this. I'll just quick get on my little soapbox. And that is, I don't think it's for any of us to judge why anyone else gets into this field. I don't think there's one reason to get into the field. There's certain fields, there's certain reasons that some of us will agree with more than others, but it's my own personal opinion, and I've said this kind of over and over again, that the field itself will become self-regulating. So if people that are in the field for reasons that maybe aren't necessarily really related to the field or particularly constructed to the field, they won't have a very long-lasting power in it. They won't stick around a lot really to make an impact one way or another. And so, I think in the end, you're always going to have some, I call it the sideshow elements, but you're always going to have that stuff going on. And I think it's just kind of a popular topic right now, so there's more of it going on. But I really do think it's all going to settle down and kind of people with integrity, doing the doing honest work and trying to actually benefit the field and benefit knowledge in this area will stick around and kind of persevere here. So that's my thoughts. Lana, what do you think?
I would agree. I think that, unfortunately, I do see a lot of people that are out there judging. I don't know. I follow a lot of groups, and I think that if you're truly open to getting, obtaining more answers in the field, then you're going to, network so that you can learn from others. And, there's different things that sometimes I'll read a group will try, or they'll share some results, and I'm really intrigued by it. So it's something that, sometimes I'll read something and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to try that, next time I go out in an investigation. And I think that I wish more people were like that. I think I do see a lot of people being very judgmental, and I've struggled with that as well, just because I think that each team applies logic, right? I mean, I would hope that, and I know that not all teams investigate the same way, but I really do think it's none of my business. This is the approach I take. Doesn't mean it applies for everybody, but I just feel like if you're going to be in the field doing what you're doing, you know, I would hope that people would use logic when they investigate. And if they share their results, it doesn't always mean that I agree with what they came up with, but I don't find it like my responsibility to chime in, judge them. If they openly ask, that's the difference, and I think that that's where I see, you know, sometimes you'll post your results. I feel like when I go into an investigation, I have the skeptical side of me. I try to debunk what I can. I try to use logic, and then what's left is what I will present. And people don't have to agree with it, but I also really don't like it when people chime in and start telling me it's fake or it, you know, it's this, it's that. And I've had other teams that I've tried to partner with. I had an event actually in October, and I was so appalled by this other team. I was so open, friendly with them. I don't view them as competition. I view them as networking and joining up and learning from each other, and they just didn't have that same kind of approach. And it made for a very difficult evening. So I think that I'm pretty opinionated, where I want to see people, I want to see people partner more together and learn from each other. So I just wish people wouldn't be so judgmental. None of us have all the answers, and I really get tired of not just people chiming in and being opinionated, but also bullying. You know, really getting, it crosses the line.
Absolutely. John, what do you think?
I agree 100%, and the spin I have off of that is the same thing I had mentioned to you off air a couple weeks ago. Is I wonder if one of the reasons why you get a lot of drama is because you're getting a lot of watered down paranormal investigators. You're getting people who see it, on TV, or that sounds like a really cool thing to do. Yeah, it's Halloween. Let's go out. And I wonder if you're getting a lot of criticism from people who are just don't really understand. They're not really passionate about it, I guess would be the word I'm looking for.
Well, actually, I see a fair amount of it with, and I have to caution this because I don't want to, paint everybody with the same broad brush here. But, I see a fair amount of where some more established teams seem almost like threatened, almost like it's a turf thing. And I honestly don't. I mean, it's just where I'm at and where I investigate. But I still don't get where I think you have more to gain from sharing your knowledge, helping, and being more of a resource than kind of looking down on everybody else and bashing everybody, saying you need to do something else. There's already too many people here. You haven't kind of paid your dues. Kind of attitude. I just don't think it's very beneficial overall. The other point I have is for and I just find this curious. I'm kind of saying this to get your opinion on this as well. How can anyone be a quote-unquote expert in an area where basically nothing has been proven and it's all theory and opinion?
Bingo.
So, I mean, somebody could have the most off-the-wall theory as to what everything's going on, but, at the end of the day right now, based on kind of what's out there, it's not any more or less valid than any of the other things out there right now, because there isn't a whole lot of, it's almost all theory. So,
absolutely.
Matt, why do you think teams do that, though? Do you think it's because they're trying to promote their, hey, I'm better than you, my team's better, or they want to be the first to actually find, hey, look, I got the actual first real picture of a ghost? I mean, that's the thing I always wonder. Why do these teams criticize each other so much?
I think it's a number of reasons, so I'm just going to kind of tick off some of them. I think for some of the groups that were around before this got popular and, probably had, again, it's more accepted now than it was 10 years ago, and, there's even levels of ridicule now. I'm sure there was a lot more for these groups that have been around a long time. So I'm sure there's a little bit of, I did it when it wasn't popular kind of deal. Now everybody's jumping on the bandwagon now that it is popular. So I think that's part of it. I think some of it is just plain pride, that along the same lines, now it got popular and there's, 500 people trying to do this. You kind of deal when I've been doing it for 15 years or 20 years or whatever it is. So I think that's part of it. I think some of it could be worried about losing potential investigation opportunities, which, I mean, again, everybody does this for different reasons. I personally view it as we do private investigations. That's not our primary. I do the private investigations to help people who need help, but I don't like using people's homes as more or less a laboratory. And, you know, part of what my team does on this is we're kind of view it as data gatherers. We're kind of, you know, investigating phenomenon here and seeing if we can understand anything about that. I'm personally more comfortable doing that in historic or, you know, commercial locations where they're aware of it, not doing it in someone's home. So, I mean, we do both, but my emphasis and my preference is to the more commercial side of things. So I don't know if people are worried about, you know, it's a town, there's, you know, 8 teams in this town, I'm losing out opportunities because I have competition. I don't know. What do you think, Luana? Any other?
You know, I was going to say I've had that experience as well. I've had other teams that I think felt threatened or a little bit territorial of different accounts, and then I think that there's another element, and I will agree with this because I've seen it happen as well. That there's, you know, every team does different styles, and what I see is there's some that go in, and I had one location that I went into, and the group before me had really provoked and were just really out of line, you know, with how that they were swearing, and the client was really upset. And so I think that sometimes when you have a lot of those experiences where you're trying to get into locations and locations are telling you, no, I'm tired of these people coming in and angering whatever's here or making it worse, I think some teams just get really opposed to being open to other teams. And so I've seen a little bit of that happening too. But I think a lot of it, from my experience, is more territorial. They just want, you know, they want to be able to do, you know, events and, you know, do different things and have locations that work kind of solely with them. So I don't know. I don't know. I can see both sides of it. I see that there's times that, you know, I've tried to network with people and it's kind of been a fail. And you never know what you're going to get until you actually partner. But I've also partnered with some really amazing teams, and I think it's just being open. I like, you know, I'm not going to tell everybody that they have to be open. I just wish people wouldn't judge, you know, and that's the part of it that I just think is unfortunate, is that when you start getting really, you know, start policing at other people's pages just to chime in. It's almost like sometimes people cross the line and it's their thing to go in and just try to prove everybody wrong. And that's where I get frustrated.
I agree. I just want to quick say here to the caller that called in, we're going to get to you in just a second. But, yeah, no, I totally agree on that. And I think it's partially the territorial deal. Honestly, I had a great nugget of insight in trying to multitask here and brain damage from having 5 kids. I totally lost it. So let's go right to the caller. If I remember my witty point, I'll chime in later. Area code 954. You're on Sunday Night Dead. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, this is Todd. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Excuse me. I'm sorry. This is the perfect show for me to chime in on, and then I'm going to, you know, step back out. But the topic is really an important one, especially for me. With our group, I embrace all groups that join. I want groups to join. I want them to network with the people in the group. I want them to promote themselves within the group. And it's absolutely amazing that we're trying to raise some money to do some episodes for a show. And long story short, people that have come in and advertised for months are basically telling me no. And it's amazing. I've gotten support from you, Matt. I got support from Todd Bates without even asking. You guys stepped right in. Chase is another one. What a sweetheart she is. There's key people that have just stepped in, and what can I do for you? You know? And then others, like I said, that have come in and post religiously are telling me, well, I don't want that on mine. You're kidding me. Well, okay, whatever. I'm not going to change my stance. I want people to come in and network and promote. That's always been and that always will be. But I just don't understand how people, at the very least, won't reciprocate, especially when you ask. I do want to thank Luana's friend John from USA Paranormal in Colorado. He joined the group. I didn't know him. Wasn't even introduced to him. He joined the group. He started donating cash right away. Then he started donating proceeds from sales from his online store. And I was just absolutely floored. It's like, who is this? I had no idea who he was. None at all. And I was asking people, who's this guy? Luana said it's a friend of mine from Colorado. And, when you have people like that just stepping in and going way beyond helping, it's absolutely amazing. And what do you say? What do you say to that? Because thank you really just does not cut it. All of the help that Matt, all of the help you've been ever, Todd Bates from Haunted Voices, phenomenal guy. Chase from her show, Kathy, another one, Kathy from the group that has a show. Just phenomenal people. There is no competition. There is no competition. I'm doing something entirely different than everybody else. And this whole notion of you're competing, you're stepping on my toes, it's nonsense. It's asinine. And it's really disparaging.
Well, I remember my... Go ahead.
I was just going to say that especially this time when everybody's, Merry Christmas, goodwill, towards man. And then, no, I'm not going to be fair and reciprocate with you. What a goof.
I remember my little witty point now, so I'll just tell the story. And I've kind of just approached, right, and I've been trying to refine more and more to just approach life in general this way. But when I first kind of just started networking and getting my name out here about a year and a half ago, it was because the team that I was a part of, I was at the Autumn Moon. I was one of the original members of Autumn Moon, but Autumn Moon wasn't originally my group. And when I felt like it was possibly going to split up, I just kind of got my name out there and was kind of networking on my own. So I knew no one. I didn't know Luana, I didn't know John, I didn't know Todd, I didn't know any of these people. Melissa, Penny, I don't mean offense to anyone I left off here. I mean, there's a long, long list. And you just go through here and you start networking and you run into people that are kind of like-minded and decent people and treat people well, and you kind of stay in touch with them. And, I've run into people that aren't, and I've run into some negative folks on things, but, I just kind of, I don't invest a lot of time, emotion, or energy into those people. I just move on and network with the people that I get along with and are like-minded, and pretty much ignore. I wish these other people no ill will. It's just, life's too short and there's too much to do to, waste time on drama. So I just kind of move on, and it has worked. And there's a lot of great people out here on this. I really don't think. I think if you're embroiled in drama, it's because you feed on it and you like it, because there are enough good people out here in this and enough constructive people out here in this field that you don't really need to be a part of it if you don't want to be.
No, I agree totally with you, and I'm not going to change the stance, of the group at all. I want people to come in, network. I want people to come in, promote. I love the education. People freely educate in that group, and it's really cool. And it's not 99% of the people in the group that I'm talking about. It's 1%. There you go. And I'm not, I'm letting it go because it was a learning lesson. And I'm not gonna change my stance on my principles. And I embrace anybody that wants to come in and promote. Please do. That's all I can say. And thank you very much for the time, and I hope everybody has a good holiday and this year. Everybody stays safe. So thanks for letting me voicing my opinion.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, and
Bye-bye.
thanks. He mentioned John Kuykendall. I just want to say thanks to him. I see him in the chat room. Thanks for all your support, Betty. It's been you're a great person to partner up with, and really, when we say paranormal unity, that's John right there. So.
Yes, USA Paranormal Colorado rocks, and the founder and lead guy John does, just phenomenal people, phenomenal. So, thanks again, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Yeah, I just got linked up with John today, so I definitely want to check out his group and check out his team. And awesome, John. If you ever, you're always welcome to contribute here on the chat and call in if you ever feel like calling in as well. Anyone else who would like to call in too? It's 646-929-2384. Again, kind of open concept night. Any topic you want to talk about, or if you just want to share a story with you or with us. We've had some interesting ones in the past, some true, some not. I referenced the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air crank call that is still kind of legendary on Sunday Night Dead. And also, if you just want to call and say hi. I know we have a number of people that follow the show that are a little more shy to be on the air, so if you just want to call in and quick say hello, that is fine as well. This is a great show to do that because we are just kind of open concept talking about whatever we feel like talking about tonight. This is still a lot more comfortable. I'm so glad I have co-hosts Luana and John with me tonight because way back in the summer I had one of these incidents happen, and we had about 4 people lined up and 3 backed out, and the one that was on could only be on for an hour and a half. So I don't know if I would ever do this again, but I decided to fill the 30 minutes instead of ending the show early. So I absolutely just kind of monologued out there. I had no idea if wasn't getting much activity in the chat room, so I have no idea if anyone was even listening to me or if anyone ever heard that 30 minutes of dead monologue. But it was an interesting story. So it's good to actually have people to talk to instead of monologuing on here. So again, kind of on the drama thing too. I mean, there were some ridiculous things that I actually heard and saw this week. Were just people basically again passing judgment on other people, and basically I saw one case. If anyone listened to the show on Monday, they basically a group of people basically ran a guy out of the field, which not knowing all the different details in here, I don't want to necessarily pass judgment on all those details on that, but from a uninvolved observer looking at it from the outside, it just seemed to me more soap opera drama and nothing that really had much to do with the paranormal other than people, again, applying their judgment and their standards onto what other people should or shouldn't be doing. So to me, I'm kind of totally open market here. Let everybody kind of go at it. If somebody's in this field doing this specifically because they want to get noticed for a career as an actor, more power to them. I mean, who am I to say that they shouldn't do that? Would they be an effective member of my team? Probably not. But who's to say who should be doing what? Any thoughts on any of that, John?
I'm agreeing with all of you.
We need to come up with something here that we disagree with so we can get all, ugly and dramatic here with each other.
You're talking about drama, and you want more drama?
I'm joking.
Actually, my take on it is, I think I mentioned it to you before, it's kind of like rooting for teams.
Yeah.
You always have your home team you're going to root for. Like me, I'll root for a home team. And you're always going to have the person saying, well, I don't like your team. That's the drama. To me, it's like going to a sporting event. I watch it. I'm there to ghost hunt to try to find proof for myself and for the person I'm with, or if it's for a private person, or just to see if there, what is on the other side. And I know if I post a picture, same thing. I know, Matt, you agree. It's there. It is. If you don't accept it, hey, I'm still going to post my picture. I've just kind of let the drama just run. You know, I don't worry about it anymore because you're never going to please everybody. And it's, you know, it's like I'm never going to root for your team because I live in this city and da da da. But it's, you know, you like the sport, you like the ghost hunt, you like the passion.
Exactly, and that's, you know, I was joking there with the drama thing. I think it's there's certain shows, and I wish them well. I mean, I'm not judging on this. There's certain paranormal shows that feed exactly off this stuff, and that's the main part of their format, is kind of feeding off the drama and the conflict on things, and I wish them very well on this. I have specifically tried to steer this show in this format into more, not the drama, the more constructive networking amongst teams, and then also for people that aren't involved in this, aren't investigators, aren't ever going to be investigators, but are interested in kind of what goes on. You know, bring in, share some of the audio things we have, share some of the stories, give a format for people that maybe have experienced activity, you know, on their own and had, you know, are curious about what maybe they were experiencing, and just kind of keep it more a topical show and not the paranormal version of Jerry Springer. So. But so no one in the chat room. It is so I mean, there were so many. There's like one landmine out there that I know there's at least 12 shows want to go running with it, and I'm not going to go there. But anything else there that anyone out in the chat room would like to talk about tonight? If not, we're going to start going into some. What was your? Oh, here we go. There's a style or team for everyone. Not everyone will like all styles and teams. It's kind of like dating and marriage. You might say, oh, he or she isn't for me, but there's someone out there that is perfect for him and her. Unless I couldn't agree more. Very good.
Great point.
So, John, what was your last investigation?
The last investigation I did was a local college, like a local college. They had a theater, a living arts building, and 3 people from my team, we went there. We knew the guy who kind of worked for security. He let us in. And I didn't think it was going to be anything interesting. I thought it was just going to be an old building with, you know, a whole bunch of seats and a stage and nothing really going on. I mean, what can happen in a theater? But we really got some really strange readings. I know the one girl, Katie, you've met, at one point, she was acting very strange. She won't admit it, but I got her on video, and she just seemed like she wasn't herself. And it just seemed like there was a presence of like a woman's spirit down in the basement, and it's actually very creepy. You know, you don't think of it. It's a theater, and then underneath the theater is like classrooms and dressing rooms, and we heard footsteps, and we got a lot of we caught footsteps walking, and just a lot of strange, like the camera. I had a camera sitting on a tripod, and it would move slightly, like if someone was moving it. And we're hoping to go back again, and hopefully go back late, after midnight, to see if we can not stir anything up, but see if there's anything happening after hours.
Oh, cool. I have a interesting theater story, but I got a quick ad here, and John knows all this. So I see Todd posting about the hardest working person in paranormal. I got to say, we all have titles, and since you and John and Ken and Kelly are going to be kind of recurring co-hosts with me on this show, I got to give you guys all titles, which I know I gave John one in the past, but I can't remember any of them anymore, unless you remember yours, John. I know I gave myself, and this is just to annoy the really anal people out there. So I was calling myself the Certified Paranormal Genius with a PhD in Excellence from the Paranormal Pantheon. And I gave Ken, because he co-hosted with me one night while he was on vacation, already gave him the title of hardest working person in all of paranormal. So we'll have to come up with a different one for you, Lana. New York Times aside.
New York Times aside. Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm going to let you come up with something for me, but.
Yeah, and they got to be. See, this is why I can't remember them. I got to write them all down because they were all really, really long. Because that made it more more pompous. They were all, and everybody has PhDs in something very vague from somewhere. So again, I will work on this. I will refine this. I know Kelly Wirtz, who I believe is still in the chat room. She had a PhD in penmanship because of she does all the blog writing and all those things. So that was one of her pieces. So we'll work back on that. But theaters, yeah, I have to say I had a very similar experience. Very cool theater near us, and my theory going into doing the theater investigation was, because you hear, I mean, almost every theater out there has stories of being haunted. So my theory was it was just the acoustics of the building, the way that the buildings are all light out, it lends itself towards different phenomena that can be matrixed. And having all those things going on. So we get there, and we had some weird stuff going on too, John. We did a spirit box in the basement, and we were getting, this is the oddest thing, we were getting a little kid's voice talking about a well and the monster, and then we got this really awful guy's voice, really deep, nasty sounding, coming through, and got some in a certain area, which we didn't know at the time until we talked to the owner the next, or later on that evening. There's actually a crawl space underneath the stage, old dirt floor and things, with a well about halfway, under the theater itself. So the team, I didn't get to make it. The team did some further investigations there. Actually dressed in appropriate clothes to be able to basically go crawling under that crawl space and getting all the way over to the well. But it was a very, very interesting experience. And we even had a girl on our team talking in the stage, and I have a EVP of a little girl, asking when the girl talks, and then you hear this little girl go, "Mommy, Mommy." So kind of weird place. So I've changed my my view on most theaters being more related to the layout and not really having any activity in it, because that one seemed to have some stuff going on.
The one that we did recently, the theater, I went into it with the same. I'm thinking to myself, well, this is a theater. You always hear about theaters. It's people moving in the seats and whatever. And then I did a little research on the theater, and I'm like, well, it's in a college. So I know if someone had died, I mean, just the odds of someone being killed or dying in a theater would make newspaper. But when we started getting a lot of weird readings and, like I said, a lot of strange things happening, we kind of associated it with maybe before the theater was built, the land it was built on. I don't know if that's something you've come across.
Yes, absolutely. And the theater that I was talking about wasn't always a theater. It had multi-uses to it. So, it could have been during one of the other, I think at one point it was like a saloon, and all different, so that it got converted into a theater. So that could have something to do with it as well. I want to ask Luana about any theater experiences she may have, but we have another caller in, so let's...
All right.
Area code 530. Sunday Night Dead, who are we speaking with?
My name is Patty.
Hi, Patty.
And, I have a question, just because I am a medium and psychic, and I do have some issues with, a lot of times the person leaves and the energy stays. Some of the entities that have hung out here. And I'm sure you must have that happen too when you are, they follow you home kind of thing. So I've been getting kind of clearer on how to, rid my house from them, and, saging and prayers and the Metatron, prayer protection. I mean, I'm just trying to work with that one. I wondered if you do anything specific to help you guys if something follows you home.
Well, we'll kind of go around the table here with this. For me personally, kind of an interesting story. So one of the things, and I originally thought this was a sleep issue, but the more I've investigated, the more I have my doubts now. And I know Lana and John have heard this story, and some of the people that are regulars on the show have heard this story a bunch of times. But I will have, it's not very often, maybe about once or twice a year, but I will have an episode where I wake up. I'm not dreaming about any of these things in particular, but I will wake up and just see someone standing in my room. And they're there for a little bit of time. I mean, they don't hang out real long, but they're there for enough time that I can kind of see them and get a description of them, and then they fade away. I don't know if, and that happens, before I was ever investigating. So I do think there is some level of, my personal theory is it's all around us all the time anyway. It's just some people are a little more sensitive to others. So that being said, I'm not sure if anything has specifically ever followed me home or not. I do have a specific prayer I say when I leave. I have actually specific prayers I will say when I feel like something is more or less, for lack of a better word, messing with me, which, will tend to happen. For whatever reason in our group, I tend to be the magnet. So, things seem to hone in on me. And I've noticed that some people tend to be more magnets and some people tend to be like, I call them wet blankets. They'll come into a room and everything dies. So I'll have, those little prayers that I do. Whether it's effective or not, I don't know. I haven't had anything other than Trans-Allegheny, and this is what made me second-guess the dreaming thing. Trans-Allegheny, the second time I was there, I recorded a little girl several times on EVP, and it just so happened that night, or that when I got back, the first week I got back, I had 3 of those incidents where I woke up and saw someone in my room, and it was the same girl all 3 times. And so that's when I was like, well, the coincidence of having that dream is really, really slim. So that's when I really started thinking that maybe there's something more to this. That's the only thing I can think of that would be something definitely following me home, because I think they're kind of all around anyway, so I've kind of all had things going on. Luana, what's your views, or what do you do?
I'm kind of the same way, where I feel like I'm a magnet. I have been in the past. I've had, I think, though, very few cases where I've suspected something did follow me home. And for me personally, I don't know. What usually follows me home hasn't been anything confrontational and just kind of lets me know it's there. And then usually it doesn't stay long. And so I haven't had to get to the point where I've had to do anything really additional. I've just, I've sensed it's there. Most of the time I'll ask it, to leave if it needs help. There's times I feel like I've had some experiences being able to communicate, especially when I'm wide open. And so if there's a way that they need help, then sometimes I'll offer that assistance. But I've only had about 2 to 3 cases where I felt like something, I say 2 to 3. I know 2 in the past. One I felt was more of a child presence, and the other was what I thought was just something from one of the hotels that we investigated. And it took me a couple days to figure out what was going on. But like you, Matt, I've had things happen to me off and on throughout my life. So I really haven't had to do much other than that. And I know that sometimes, I have a medium in my team, and when we do our residential investigations, her recommendation is if there's something that you don't want there, to say it with conviction and to ask it to please leave. I don't know, if that's stuff that you've tried doing. I don't know. So that's really my recommendation. I think the prayer is also a good suggestion for those that, feel like that's for them.
I would add, too, I think Luana and I are on the same page on this, too. I always tell clients, and I do the exact same thing then, I think they want attention, so I try not to feed into that. So, I always tell people, it's not a roommate, it's not entertainment. Don't, because I think giving attention just brings on more activity from either, that entity or actually attracts others to it. So, those times that I've seen things go on, I've never dug into that and tried to, contact or communicate those things. I've just kind of, that's interesting, and kind of moved on. John, how about you?
I do basically 3 things. I see Ryan posted one of them because he works with me, ghost hunting. I basically, number 1, I carry stones that I believe that are for protection. I've had them blessed, if you want to say blessed or spelled or whatever word you want to use. And I believe that the stones protect me. I carry different stones and I charge them. I know it sounds weird, but I get into that. The other thing I try to do is with our team is when we're done at the end of the night, we don't provoke. We're not into provoking throughout the whole night. And at the end of the night, what we try to do is say, hey, thank you for letting us come out here. If it's a famous place, we say, hey, thanks for letting us come out here. This is your place. Thanks for letting us be here. And the third thing I do is I never go straight home. I always tell anybody on our team, hey, stop at a Wawa, like a convenience store or a fast food store, or just go somewhere else before you go home. And I don't know if that works or if it just makes me feel better, but that's 3 things I do. I mean, they sound corny, but I so far I think they work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll throw. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just wondering. So let's say if you get home, have you ever had anything happen where you got home and it was obvious that something was there? And I'm just talking to John. Is that
for me? No, I've personally never had nothing follow me home. Maybe because I'm boring. I don't know. But like I said, I don't encourage things to come home with me too. I don't provoke. And when I'm there, I'm trying to help them. Like, are you here? Da da da. I don't try to aggravate it to make it mad to want to come home. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I don't know if it's the stones I wear. I mean, obviously, there's certain people on my team don't have stones, and they do their things. But like I said, I always try to be respectful. When we're done at the end of the night, I say thank you for letting us come out here. We didn't try to disturb you. I hope you, blah blah blah. And I don't know if that helps. Maybe.
Well, it must. It sounds like it is because you haven't had any experiences that were negative. So,
and I haven't gone like I said, I haven't gone somewhere really super negative, like things like poltergeist and your heads are twisting. I try not to go. I try not to bring a team in there with me to do that because I don't want to expose them to it. So maybe that might be part of it too.
I agree with that. I look for like the good. When I do investigate, I usually try to look for the good. If there's a lot of times too, I find that even when there's cases that they think it might be really negative or confrontational, sometimes my findings are different. So I think sometimes what I attract is the good things. I don't think I've ever attracted anything really. I've had really one angry confrontational spirit that he never followed me home, or it never followed me home. It just was not wanting us there. Other than that, I think I've had nice ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm curious, Patty. I get your thoughts on this, and everybody else too. Do you think? Because my personal theory is a lot of this has to do with mental energy. So, like, it's not so much the stones, or like for me, I carry a rosary in my pocket. It's not so much the rosary or whatever else you would use. It is your, I'll say faith, but I really mean it more in a confidence and spirit, that kind of reinforcing in your own mental state that I think is really what is helpful. So my own theory is the people that are leaving a location that are really worried and concerned and have doubts as to, is something following me home? Did what I do work? Are more likely to actually have something follow them home than someone that's leaving very secure that it's not. Now, I could be totally wrong here and get burned on the next investigation, but that's just my, that's just my own personal theory here that I think, and again, it's all theory, but I think, there's an element of that whole kind of mental energy we have that I believe, attracts and interacts somehow with these entities. And, just like something targeting something that is weak, not calling that person weak, but obviously, having that doubt is a vulnerability that may be more attractive than someone who isn't. Just like I think somebody that goes in there and totally doesn't believe in any of it and is walking out there going, this is all a bunch of BS, is very unlikely to have something follow them home either.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, I do. Belief systems are in place, and I think they are beacons, either light or dark or whatever. And I've been, I really get that we have always had this intuition, and more of us, I've been doing this for a long time. So to me, I have been just noticing, and I have to just say this, a lot more entities that haven't found the light. And that's when that's when the room fills up. That's when the room fills up, and we have a lot of entities that are attracted to your light. So, if let's say this person died in a car accident and he was drunk, and he didn't have a clue about himself, his own spiritual self, his own knowing of who he was. I mean, as a real spiritual being. And then he moves on. But he doesn't really move on. He's just looking for the next light. So we've had a lot of people, and I say people because who have entity attachments, which is interesting. You are, just like a building can have entities attached to it, well, people can also have entities attached to them as well. And so we've been, kind of releasing entities from people's energy systems. Very interesting to see how we're all doing it. How you're going into buildings and we're doing it for people that have had, depression and things that all of a sudden hit them and they don't know what had happened really. And so it's been just an interesting progression of seeing, to me, more entities that are lost, that need help finding the light and finding their way, in a sense, home. So I guess that's what you're doing. I guess that's what we're doing. I guess that's what we're all trying to do, is kind of elevate the energy so that the entities on the planet won't get stuck, and we'll know where to go when they do pass on. So yeah.
That is very interesting. We are up at the top of the hour, so time for a quick break.
Well,
Patty, are you able to stay on with us?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I just didn't want to keep you. If you
No, you can. We appreciate getting your input in here. So, going to play a song here. Let everybody get a chance to get a refill on their drinks or anything else they may need to do, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. You're listening to Sunday Night Dead. Welcome back, everybody, to Sunday Night Dead. Going to bring back everybody here, Luana, John, and
Hello.
Called in. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Good. I got ice cream. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I got to refill on my drink. I got to keep drinking, otherwise I'll lose my voice on here. So, curious. I was going back to talking about the theaters. I wanted to ask Luana, have you ever investigated any theaters, any experiences with theaters?
I actually, let me just make sure you guys can hear me. Is that okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
In the chat room, if anyone's having trouble hearing in the chat room, please let me know.
I did in Colorado, up in a little town called Leadville, I did the Tabor Opera House, and that was really neat. And that was, I guess, an opera house, but it was an investigation I did a while back. I actually didn't capture much, but when we arrived there, we were kind of rushed, and the owner didn't want it. She actually was shutting it down to paranormal teams coming in, and just didn't seem very happy to have us on site. So we got like an hour to explore, and so it wasn't enough time to really even get into it. But it was still neat experiences. So.
How about you, Patty? Any experiences in the theater?
No, but
okay.
we did just shut down a Native American sweat lodge that was that they had not shut down properly, so they called in 3 psychics to come and shut it down because the property itself was being almost like a portal. And there were so many people there, and the people living there were having so much, in a sense, poltergeist experiences that they didn't want. So that's what happened. That was interesting. That was very
Oh wow.
So it can happen everywhere, that people just hang out or have portals opened and didn't shut them. So I think theaters are so interesting because they usually have a lot of history. We just went, yeah. So what would you do, my question is, when you find a poltergeist or you really connect and you say, yes, there is one here, is that do you bring in mediums to help move them over to the other side, or do you just want proof of the place being haunted, or what level are you at with that?
Let's go to John first on that one.
The first thing I do is I explain to either the homeowner or the facility that let us in, more or less the homeowners, that the reason we came out to find proof or find exactly what's going on. Because I tell them right off the bat, I don't do exorcism or a demonologist. If it's something that we do come across that is very serious, that has a dark side to it, I will refer them to some people that I know above the chain who are a lot more better and talented at it than I am. But like I said, I always tell the homeowner up front, look, we're coming out to help prove, you're saying you hear stuff, well, we're going to try to validate that you do hear stuff, or maybe we're going to find out, that why, yes, we did catch the door slamming, But if it's something, like I said, that's going to really be dark and nasty, I don't want to bring my team members in there or myself and expose them to that. If I do find that it is something dark, then I refer it to somebody a lot more qualified than me.
Yeah.
How about you, Alana?
Everyone. How about you?
Yeah, actually, I'm very similar in that approach. I do a lot of residentials, and the way that I usually do, I'll interview the client, and then based on the interview and what I assess is, safe for us to go in there, I have a medium that I always take with me, and as she's focusing on what she's picking up on, I'll also be focusing on the scientific part. And then, after I have a chance to review, I'll let the homeowners know. And it's kind of neat sometimes when I've been able to validate, exactly what she was picking up on. There was one residential we just did that had like a man. She kind of picked up on a few entities there. Nothing confrontational, nothing bad, but it was neat because the EVPs that I actually was able to capture very much validated that. So that was kind of neat. But when it gets into the dark stuff, I also will call in the more qualified representative. I've had people that have contacted me that, it sounded very, very dark. They've been, had hair ripped out, pushed down the stairs, scratched. Their kids are being attacked, animals are being attacked, and those are the kinds of things that I'm not qualified to take on. So I haven't actually had any situations that I've gone into that were like poltergeist and anything like that. So,
it's kind of similar here, a similar approach. I think that's why we all get along. I'll base it on what the clients are looking at. I mean, I've actually had some different. Some are really, come in and see. Do you think my house has activity? Others are convinced they have activity. They just want to get a little more info as to what possibly could be going on there, and seeing if we get any evidence on it. Again, I draw the line. We don't use homes for kind of laboratories and in-depth investigations, because I don't believe you should pay it a lot of attention, because it will increase activity there. I've had a couple that I would consider negative, where the family was either experiencing bad activity or the activity there was unwelcome. I don't claim to be able to get rid of anything there. What I do is, again, it's similar with what we were talking about with the protections that people bring. I think you need something that works within the people living in the house, their belief system, and what they're going to have confidence and faith in. So in the cases where we did bring in other people, it's trying to find a match between what their beliefs are and what they have faith in will work, and bringing in people for that. Because again, my theory, but it's only theory, is an element of all this is the ability for the entities to kind of feed off the emotional energy in the household.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree with that too.
Yeah. So that's so. How? My question too. I've been seeing these ghost boxes that people have. These really, they're very like staticky boxes. They're really pretty big. Do you recommend one of those over the smaller ones that I've been seeing? The ones that more like a radio type of thing that you, or a recorder that you play back. Which one do you prefer if you're going to really try to contact the other side?
I think the big ones. I could be wrong here. I am not never claimed to be a tech expert here. I think the big ones are what they used to refer to as the shack hacks, and kind of the older versions of the units. I have a newer one. I approach all these things, including, this is one of these controversial ones, just like orbs, including the dreaded flashlight. I will pretty much, anything that I have access to, I will incorporate that into the investigations, because I'm looking for correlations. So, if I'm getting voices on the spirit, so I'm not saying I'm a believer in anything wholeheartedly. It's just kind of where the data leads. Obviously, the voices, that recording on the audio recorder, I have a lot of confidence in those, because I've seen good correlations with things, and things that don't line up. This will be kind of related to our game that we play at the bottom of the hour. With just, again, picking up random voices. I have seen good correlation with the spirit boxes. I've been skeptical when I started doing this, but I've gotten a fair amount of weird and kind of recurring sentences, things much longer than what you would get due to the cycling, because it's basically like spinning a radio dial through a whole bunch of stations at different cycle rates. And again, it's things that if you're going to just pluck one or two words out of a random conversation, the odds of getting, two relevant words are pretty slim. And so I consider it experimental. I'm not necessarily, concrete sold on it, but what I've seen so far from the spirit box has been definitely intriguing. I don't know, Luana, what do you
I actually have been experimenting quite a while with the spirit box, and I have the little, I think it's a PSB7. I have a couple of those, one with shadow detection, one without, and I love that device. I was also skeptical of it. I wasn't having a lot of, I didn't have a lot of faith in it because I just thought it was randomly just junk. But after I figured out a methodology and how to kind of hone in on the different voices that are coming through to further probe them and mix up the data so that I'm getting different, I'm not just asking yes and no questions. I'm asking, give me a number, give me a name, can you see me, can you validate this? And so I kind of mix the questions up so that I get mixed results, which kind of further validates what I'm trying to seek. And then I think that the interesting part, and I don't know, Matt, if you were the one that told me, that was it George Lopez that had the attachment that that went like kind of everywhere with him? Is that right? Were you that person?
No. The story I had with George was that they did that interesting thing where he would have one spirit box up in like Rolling Hills in New York, and then he would be down in Florida, and you would actually pick up the voices in Florida, and then they would go up, and you would pick them up in New York, and it was like the weirdest thing. It's you can find it in the archives if you look up Spirit Box section Rolling Hills under the Dead Air family shows. It is worth it. It really blew me away when I heard some of the stuff they were picking up.
Yeah, actually, I've had the same kind of experiences with the spirit that started coming through in January for me, and I use my spirit box on almost every investigation, and he'll say his name for me always. I can turn it on. In fact, there's sometimes I didn't even hear it initially when it came in, when I turned it on until I went back to my audio, and then I'd hear him say his name. And I've actually been able to connect with him also on a psychic level as well. So he's been kind of an interesting spirit to have around, but that to me is a lot of extra validation I've needed with the spirit box.
How about you, John?
Like I wrote in the chat, I'm a big believer. I think no matter when you go out investigating, you have to have a voice recorder running all the time. And what I try to do is, throughout an investigation, I'll mix it up. I will try to do quick burst EVP sessions. I'll carry like an extra voice recorder, kind of like Mark and Debbie Constantino do. I'll do like a 20-second, ask questions, and I play it back live. And then what I'll try to do throughout the night is I'll find certain areas that, have a feel to it, and I'll fire up the spirit box, or in my case, I fire up the Ovilus X. And I use them for a little bit just to feel, to maybe validate, because I know sometimes the spirit boxes will give you a headache after a while, like the static but I find them interesting. I mean, I've gotten a lot of good results. I've posted stuff, and I've gotten good results with the Ovilus. But no matter what, it always goes back to the voice recorder, because that's where you catch, that's the gems right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have just one question. Now that you've been doing this work, what has it done to your own spiritual belief systems about dying, about being, multidimensional beings? What has it done for you as a human being to be around this so much?
That's a great question.
Go ahead, Leah.
Okay, I'll give you guys time to think about your answer. I'll just say this. I've had experiences, and when I first started investigating, I was looking at it from a totally different end of the spectrum. I mean, I really wanted, I know that I had experiences when I was a child and throughout some of my early adult life, and it's not that I didn't believe. I became very skeptical when I started investigating, and I've really just change. It's like a whole 180 that I've done, and I think it's really opened me up to questioning what happens. And I have a lot of beliefs. I mean, I don't think that when we die, we just, I look at our souls as going on. And I think that everything I'm doing today, really validates that for me. I think I used to, without turning this into, religion, I tried to fit in my entire life with religion, and I have my beliefs there. However, I've found that since I've been investigating, I'm a very spiritual person now. So I've actually grown a lot with my spirituality. I think it's been an amazing journey, and I think I would call it, for me, a spiritual awakening. I think that everything I've done has really woken me up to there's just so much more out there. And so I have this beautiful journey that I feel like I've started, and I'm so excited, and it's like my passion in my life right now. It truly is. I spend more time diving into the paranormal and just looking forward to the next investigation and talking to spirits and helping them, and than I do. I hope nobody at work is listening, but but I do with my paying job. There's more hours involved with what I do in the paranormal. So it's a little bit about me.
I'll weigh into. I personally have found it only reinforcing. I consider myself a pretty spiritual person. Actually, my faith is very important to me. But it all kind of, I see it all integrate very well. I think a lot of the things that trip people up and they get arguing on are more specific details that aren't necessarily relevant to the big picture, so to speak. Again, without turning this into a big theological debate, but this hasn't raised any doubts for me, hasn't caused any real kind of back and forth and things. It's just kind of more or less reinforced. And I'll add that I think some of the drama that we see out there comes from, and this isn't all of it, but there is a segment of the drama you see out there in the para community is coming from people that have specific beliefs, kind of all over the spectrum, that are trying to make everything kind of force fit into their system, and and that's why I think you get some of the angry responses, because if it doesn't, if it doesn't fit, they have to be very, they have to refute it very aggressively. For me, and this is just me. I mean, and I encourage everybody you have their own views of things. I don't want to force mine onto anybody else. It all fits together fairly well for me. I'm not really conflicted over it, and I find it very. What I've learned going into this has been more reinforcing than anything else. John, I'm going to let you do the next one, and then I'm going to go over and talk to a caller that just called in. So I'll be back, guys.
For me, I find it makes things a little more confusing, but for me it also makes things more interesting. Like I wonder now, what are we catching when we're out there? These EVPs, are they really ghosts? Are they really people's spirits that are trapped? Or do they want to stay? It makes me more want to know, what's going on in the mindset of the spirit. Are they trapped? Do they know they're a spirit? Do they want to be here, or can they not be here? So that kind of opens up to me a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
It's an interesting journey. That's all I can say that you're on.
I know personally for me. I've gone to people's houses and done private investigations, and I feel like I've helped them. Not me personally, but I feel like our team has maybe connected to a loved one or something in that house, and just to see their reaction. I've had a lady hug me and I'll cry. Thanking me, this validates I'm not crazy, that, I've been feeling that someone's been watching me. I mean, that's the one reason I get into it, and that excites me about it.
I've had the same experiences, yeah.
It's a great feeling. I mean, that's why I do it.
Exactly. I had one lady that came to one of my events just in October, and her son had committed suicide in April. And she had brought the other kids, and with her, brothers and sisters of her son, and she wanted to try to connect with him. That was the whole reason she came to this event. And, we used Spirit Box that night, and she asked for him, and she just started crying. I mean, it was just like she swore she heard his name. We have it on recording. She asked him questions. He answered. He said he was sorry. It was just kind of an amazing experience for her and what she absolutely needed to be able to move on, and to have some closure. And she came up to us afterwards, and she was like, "Thank you for, I never thought I'd hear my son's voice again. I've had, I have investigators that have lost children, and we've had some really, really beautiful experiences, bringing them a little step closer to that. So I just love what I do, what this job is."
Yeah, awesome. It sounds rewarding for you guys to be doing this, so I understand that. I think for me, I have a spirit box in my head, and so I hear it because I've been tuned in for 30 years to hear spirit talk to me. So I feel like I hear it, like you would too. Eventually you just tuned in and you're hearing it, and maybe no one else would be hearing it, but you would. So I think we're all elevating our consciousness to a higher dimensional space that allows us all to do this and to understand it. So I'm so curious to see how, every dimension, you're doing one that's bringing closure and peace to those out there who have loved ones that might be still at the house, and that's wonderful that now they know for sure Uncle Joe is there, So it's really wonderful, that you're doing it and they have proof and they could hear it themselves. So to me, that's just awesome.
Is it Patty that we're talking to?
Yeah, that's me.
Patty, can I ask you a question? Do you feel sometimes because you have that spirit box that's always on, do you feel overwhelmed with that at times?
Yeah, I have in the past. I actually do that if I go into a crowd or if I go to the market or right now I shut it down, I shut it off, and I have my business hours now that I turn it on. And when I do a session, I open the door, I say, I write down who came in, what's their name, what they said. And so I have, over the past 30 years, have learned to work with it and not have it be a problem. Because, really, I used to, when I was younger, I was a teenager, I would walk in the market, and at that point I was seeing spirit. And I would see spirit and the person, and I didn't know which one was a spirit or was alive.
Wow.
And that was how clear it was. And so then it got to be a little scary. I talk about my foot of my bed. It was pretty busy. And so I really get that over the years I had to set the boundaries so that I could live the life that wasn't always affected. And I see people out there who are now, saying, I don't know what's going on. I can see them. They're in my room, and it's like, just like I have a doorbell in my house, I had to set the boundaries so that people, and I really get that as I got older and more aware that you are a beacon when you are an intuitive, and they will be lined up out your door if you don't have some boundaries set.
Yeah, I experienced kind of the same thing where I finally had to, come out and tell them, like, I can't be open for business all the time. Because it was more like when I'm trying to rest and I'm at peace that, they'd start communicating, and sometimes it would catch me off guard, and sometimes, just depending on the spirit, sometimes it wasn't always so peaceful and pleasant, and sometimes it was, whatever. I feel like I'm an empath to a degree, so I could pick up on their emotions, and that was really confusing for me. It's like you feel like they're your own. So I definitely can relate to that.
Well, and it's really interesting because I'll do a reading, and the person's left, and the mother is there saying, "You can hear me," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, but you're done now." So
exactly,
you need to go with your daughter, or and so it really was about saying that was okay for me to do, because at first I thought I have to listen to them all. It would be unfair if they need to speak to me and I'm not listening, and then it got to be like, wait a minute, this is not invited guests, that you have to have some boundaries, absolutely. And so, yeah, that's a good question, because I think a lot of people think, one friend said, I wish I was you. And I thought, oh, no, you don't. No, this has been a journey of understanding,
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm sure more people would love to speak with you. You guys, good luck on your shows and whatever you do in your world. And I just see you really, doing wonderful things. So thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you for calling in, Patty. You've been a joy to talk to.
Okay, well, nice talking to you, too. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we're going to have... we're going to play our game here, but I'm going to bring on our next caller. But he's going to play. He doesn't even realize this. We're going to put him on the spot. He's going to play a game with us. So, David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, get ready, because we're going to play the fourth most popular game amongst orbs and zombies. My favorite, my own little personal experiment here, which I'll explain in a second. Ghost our host, but the orbs are so excited they made me a really cool intro. So hit it, Bones.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome the fourth most popular game amongst orbs and zombies, Ghost or Host. And now here's your host, Matthew Slozer.
All right, this is how it works. A little experiment here. Hang on, it's so loud. Okay. So the deal here is what I was talking about earlier, about how often, if the audio recording that we get is from a radio show or a phone call or kind of random conversation, how often is that going to be relevant to the voice that's recorded? So, the point behind this game is I have various texts from EVPs that have been captured, either from me or from other people. And I've also taken a random words off my Facebook page. Basically take a random number, scroll down. Kind of Facebook page is kind of a random collection of words anyway. And actually, this is actually going to be a little more skewed towards the paranormal, because if anyone sees my Facebook news feed, I have so many teams and friends in this field that there's a fair amount of ghost words associated with it anyway. Well, we're going to compare the two phrases and see which one is actually collected in the investigation, or the ghost, and which one is off my Facebook page, which is the host. The idea here is, if truly a lot of the conversations picked up are just random voices, then as we do this over time, it should be very hard to tell the difference between most of these statements, which I have to say so far, overwhelmingly, people have been very good at picking out the ghost. So here's the first one. We're going to go around here. So this was actually from the Stagmans, who were on 2 weeks ago. They were in a house that had 18 kids in it, and they recorded a phrase. Did they record the phrase A, loved like that, or B, I've got candy? Which one is the ghost? A or B, Luana?
B. No.
John. I'll go with B.
David, what do you think?
I want to go with her, B.
B. Anyone in the chat room? I don't know why I'm talking louder. They can't hear me any easier. Okay, well, B is correct. B was the what they recorded, and the loved like that was randomly picked off the Facebook page. All right, next one. Also from the Stagmans. They were in a room, and they opened up the small, little closet room, and they were in there, and they said, "This room gives me the creeps." And shortly thereafter, there was a little boy's voice that said, "My room?" or "This is." A, my room. B, this is. John, what do you think, A or B?
A.
David.
This is A.
That was B.
Oh,
Okay.
So you said my room?
No. You picked this is B. Okay, Luana.
Yeah.
My room or this is?
I'm going to say A.
My room?
Yes.
Okay. And in the chat room, I'm getting a lot of A's. A is correct. My room. It was a very kind of question. They said, this room's creepy. He's like, my room? So that's okay. See, this shows that they ran. Not everybody is getting them all right. So this is good, David. You're kind of helping my statistical analysis here.
Hey,
the last one.
Dolls creepy?
I'm sorry?
Didn't one of the dolls at one point in time say creepy?
Oh, yeah, that's another. Yeah, we don't have that one. That is a cool one from a very recent investigation that I'll have to get into sometime in the future.
Okay.
So this is Trans-Allegheny. This is one of the little girl voices that I recorded. I was in a room on the first floor. There was a noise, and a girl on my team said, "What was that?" And we got a response. Did the little girl say, "The rain," which is answer A, the rain, or answer B, any pictures? David, what do you think?
The rain, A.
John?
I'll go with A.
And Luana?
I'm going to go with B.
B, okay. Anyone in the chat room want to weigh in on this one? Give a little bit of time here. I'm not seeing anyone typing, so I guess they don't care. So we will say it was A, the rain. So,
yeah.
But again, part of why I'm doing this, it's to have fun, but it's even for my own knowledge. I want to see, since this claim comes up a lot, that you're just randomly picking up phone conversations and things. And I'm not saying, I personally don't think that's the case, but I'm open to any possibility here. I want to just randomly pluck out words here and see how often it fits into something relevant that people would think would be something that fits. So we will continue our Ghost versus Host, which the orbs, which I'm trying to make a peace treaty with, and the zombies out there seem to like that as well. So I'd like to bring on our caller here who already played our game but has some questions for us. Mr. David, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem. What's your question?
Yeah, and I'd like for everybody to weigh in because, the more, the merrier. My question is, does it seem more encounters keep happening as time goes on as a representation to the end of times, or is it growth and awareness to those of us outside of your community, who are seeing all the media, or is it the growth in technology in your field and you're able to capture more than at any other time in our existence?
I'll weigh in first on this one. Well, I think it's always been there. I think other than the fact of, depending on how you want to look at this, as time goes on, more people pass, however the specifics of this mechanism work as to, why some people stay around and communicate and why others don't. I don't know exactly how that mechanism works. So, from just the fact that there's more people on this planet that have passed, that number could increase. But I think it's a combination of the technology, obviously, and the more interest there is in the field, the more work that's being done in different technological things that are help enhancing this. But then I do think there is a aspect to, as we've mentioned before, I think they seek attention. So if they have an audience, that's gonna act like a beacon or a lighthouse to attract that attention. So I think the fact that people are out there trying to communicate more is bringing more interactions on, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go on to John. What do you think?
I agree with that. I also think that I think people are looking for more now than they were in the past. I think some people are maybe questioning certain things in their religion, and that maybe they're more open-minded about it. They're willing to accept the possibility of spirits or afterlife. And I also think the technology definitely helps. And I think a lot more people, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing, are getting into it more. Like I said, a lot of people watch the shows, they see the radio shows, they see the TV shows. So there's a lot more people asking and open-minded about the paranormal aspect of it.
Mhm.
Luana, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all those things. I think that, it's more acceptable to be able to talk about the paranormal and experiences than it used to be. So I think that we have more awareness from that. I think the shows have just really gotten a lot of people on board with there could be more out there. And so I think from that element, there's a lot more people that are open to it. And so I think it's a combination of all of that. And I think the more that we're out there trying to communicate with it, maybe the more active spirits are getting, the more that they are realizing that there's people that can communicate with them. So I think it's a combination of everything.
That answer your question, David?
Oh, yeah. I certainly appreciate you guys taking my call, and I'll make sure I tune in every Sunday night.
Oh, great. Well, we appreciate it, and just want a quick ad. David ran into somebody that's been on the show before, and one of my fellow team members, William, today in town. And so I thank you very much for talking to William, and thank you very much for calling in tonight.
You guys be safe on your encounters.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. So interesting things. That was interesting to hear kind of what was going on with Patty and some of her questions. So I really appreciate both Patty and David calling in tonight. There is still time. We got about 15 to 20 minutes here. So anyone out in the chat room or anyone else wants to call in and weigh in quick, 646-929-2384. Feel free to give a call.
Mm-hmm.
So have you guys, I'm curious, since both of you had mentioned something interesting about how if it comes across like it's going to be a little too dark, you will tend to bring in other people to handle. How often, I guess we'll start with Luana, how often has that happened? Or
Oh, boy. I've only had 2 cases that I've questioned it being something darker, and I have a couple demonologists that I work with, so that was the immediate. The interesting part was that I had if you'll follow this, I had a demonologist that had an attachment and needed help, and I'm like, okay, it's hard to rid, I guess, your own attachment, especially when it's that kind of an attachment. So I did call in another resource for that, and, I checked back and followed up, but I've only had a couple cases like that.
Oh, wow. How about you, John?
I haven't had that many cases. I have hardly any with the real dark entities. And actually, the one case, I won't get too technical into it, but basically the homeowner was complaining that they had a poltergeist going on, that things were getting carved into the wall and the door, and the glasses would be snapped. I mean, it just sounded like this person was having a bad time. And basically what happened was we went out and did the investigation, and we found that there was nothing paranormal of a dark entity, but that wasn't good enough for the homeowner. And I find I run into that a lot with residential. I don't know, you guys probably do too. Is a lot of times you go out there and they'll tell you, there's crazy things going on, this is happening. We did the investigation, and then I get a phone call 2 days later about, oh my God, I don't know what you guys did. You've made it worse. I need a demonologist. You've provoked it. And I tell them before we even start, we don't provoke. This is more of a science. This is just trying to. But at one case, I referred this lady to somebody who has been doing it for 40 years, who has all this demonology, just to comfort her, because no matter what I told her, she was convinced that it was the end of the world going on in her house.
Well, I've had 2 that I would say were, and the one I reference this one a lot too, because I always John, you've investigated with me, so you can imagine what the atmosphere there would have been like if I came home and first words to my wife when I came home were, if they were all like that, I would quit doing this because it was just way too stressful. But, in those two cases, it seemed to be something a little more sinister, and, they wanted somebody to come in to help them get rid of it, which, again, I don't claim. If we have similar backgrounds, I certainly don't have a problem if they request it or if they want it, doing prayers or anything in the location, but I don't, again, claim to remove anything or don't, certainly push that onto anyone. The thing that I find interesting, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this, especially Luana, since she says, since you're kind of a magnet as well, even in locations that don't seem to be all that negative towards everybody else, I get a lot of attention, and it's not real nice attention. I mean, I get almost every location I have something cussing me out and saying nasty things to me and stuff, and I don't think, it's not like feel like I'm walking around with like demons flying all around me. I don't think that's the case. I just don't know. Some of it I almost take of it as like a sense of humor, like they're doing it to be funny. But it's just interesting how if I'm not getting cussed out, I'm getting insulted. it's interesting. I don't quite get it.
I do think they have like a sense of humor, though. I've definitely captured a lot of interesting EVPs that would support that, but I don't get a lot of negative things. I think Waverly was the one place I picked up some negative voices that told us to shut up and things of that nature. But I do. I think, I don't know, do you ever wonder, this was something that someone, one of the Ghost Adventures cruise guys, when I was talking to him, he mentioned that he feels like sometimes he brings the activity. What about that? Do you ever feel like there's things that are maybe around you that you bring to locations and it can trigger activity?
Well, that absolutely could be the case because, like I said, there's things that always seem to be going on. I think they're all around. I mean, there's always the chance that it's similar things kind of hanging out. I won't, for reasons we've already said about, kind of attracting things and the fact that we live here, I would never investigate in my own house to see if I,
right.
But I mean, that could be. The thing is, I pick up very different voices, and what I find is very interesting is on repeat investigations, picking up, a very similar voice on subsequent investigations. I've always found very, very interesting. It's not like I'm picking up the same voice kind of cussing me out. So that's the interesting thing. But yeah, it's the F-bomb. They like telling me, to F you or F off, or I get that a lot. So
well, yeah, one of the things that I think about now is if you do have things maybe that are attached to you or spirits that are around you, the way that it was described, and it makes sense to me, is that perhaps when you come to a location, it's kind of like a dog. If you were to take your dog to someone's house who had dogs, that they may kind of be confrontational and territorial, and it kind of may stir up that activity, if you have an attachment that is around you as you go into a different location. So I always think about that now. It's something I'm curious about.
That could make sense, John. I never thought about that. The derogatory comments, I guess, part of it's ego. I'm talking, and I automatically assume it's at me. I could just be picking up a conversation amongst others that aren't there. So, real quick, I'm going to bring on, I think this might be Melissa. I'm going to bring on we have another caller coming in. Sunday Night Dead, who are we speaking with?
Hey, Matt, it's Melissa.
Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is, for everyone, this is Melissa, who was with me when we did Curse City back in early November. So, how are you tonight?
I'm wonderful, but I have been thinking about this all day long, a question for you. I have started watching a show called The Dead Files. Have you ever seen this show before?
I have.
Is that the one with the, kind of the detective and the psychic going like separate paths on something? Okay.
Yes. Today I was watching one that I had recorded yesterday, the day before. But this Amy Allen was talking during her walk around, and she mentioned people coming in and doing paranormal investigations and other people doing seances, and how spirit people get pissed off about this. And she went on to tell the man that's doing the filming that it would be like people coming into your house all the time talking to you when they weren't invited. And I just wanted to get your take on that kind of feeling or philosophy, that we might be invading people's spaces and they really don't want us there.
Well, I'll weigh, and I know this because I've seen people go on the other side of this, so I know that there's different opinions on this. I'll quick throw on mine, at least as far as private locations go. Whereas I would be respectful there, I don't view it as we'd be intruding on the entity space. It's the homeowner's house, and whereas they might be able to coexist in things, and I would tell the homeowner not to feed any attention to that, I would not ever suggest a homeowner to vacate and leave a vacant building because spirits there consider it their turf. So that's kind of my quick view on that. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I actually agree 100% with you on that. I believe exactly, especially a residential, I think once you've passed and you've moved on to the other side or whatever you're in as a spirit, I don't think you have claim to this side. And to me, like I said, I can see what the thing was. Is she's saying that they're intruding. I think if you do Ouija boards and maybe like seances to a certain point, I think that's kind of being a little disrespectful and maybe bad mojo. But I don't think like investigating is not their space anymore. I think that's my take.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Luana?
I agree with you guys. I don't really have much to add because I do think that, current homeowner is, even if there's a spirit that maybe that was their original house, I do think that it's the approach that you take, and most times I try to start out by saying, I'm only here to communicate. I want to make sure, the homeowners are sensing that you're here, whatever, so that I feel like I'm giving that introduction to the other side so that they're aware that I'm not there to cause any harm. I'm only there to help the situation, and hopefully, they'll be responsive towards that. So I agree with you guys.
Yeah, I would add, too, that I always approach these things and try to be respectful. I mean, I'm not, I'm not going there trying to piss anything off. The only times is, the one exception I'll make on this is I'll stand my ground. So if anyone is getting messed with, I mean, like I said before, I've been in a location where someone was attacked, been in other locations where people were getting sick or things like that going on. I get a little more forceful on kind of leaving them alone on that. So I guess, depending on how you view that, that could be viewed as, aggressive, but generally I view it only as a defensive tactic there. I don't know, did that answer your question, Melissa?
It did. I love the show, and when she said that, I was kind of like, I don't know exactly how to take that, but okay. Thanks for your answers.
You're welcome. I think a lot has to do with the style, too. I think that's the biggest thing on here is it's not one size fits all. All these teams have different approaches, different styles, and I think certain approaches will be more offensive than others, depending on how it's done.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
You're welcome. Well, guys, this went really fast for being an open concept night, so I'm very appreciative for all our callers, and had a really, really good time.
Me too. Good conversation.
Yep.
Just a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good questions, a lot of good questions in the chat room.
Yes, I want to thank everyone in the chat room for contributing as well. But we are pretty much out of time here, so I'm going to just say goodnight to everyone and put a little plug in. Next week we have the cast from Bio Show Haunted Encounters. Definitely have Jordan Murphy on, and I believe we're going to have some other cast members from that show on next week. So be sure to join us. It'll be right before the holiday. And to everyone out there, have a great week leading up to Christmas, and be good with all your last-minute shopping and running around. And same to you, Luana, and John there. So enjoy your week off, Luana.
Get lots of ghost gear.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. I think John Kuykendall at USA Paranormal has some great deals, too, if you guys are looking for some last-minute things. Check it out.
Oh, awesome. Will do. Well, thank you, everybody. Good night. We'll see you next week for Haunted Encounters. Take care.